Jagan is writing a book on nature cure and natural diet. When cousin comes to Jagan and tells that Mali wants to be a writer, Jagan thinks that he was trying to be a clerk in the English East India Company. So all this story he explains, and he tells that when Jagan feels free, he should visit the shrine. Finally, Jagan finds this disturbing. He tells this issue to cousin, and cousin suggests, okay, if they are not married, let us get them married in a temple. Hello students, I'm Anil, Assistant Professor of English, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. In this session, we are going to look at the novel Vendor of Sweets written by R.K. Narayan for the students of BCA 4th semester. There are 13 chapters in this novel. This novel is divided into 13 chapters. Let us look at each chapter in detail. The very first chapter, in this chapter, we see the introduction to Jagan's sweet shop operation in Malgudi. So the story is set in Malgudi. Malgudi is a fictional town by R.K. Narayan. All the stories, most of his stories are set in Malgudi. So Jagan is the main character of this novel. He has a sweet shop in Malgudi. He has 4 people assisting him in the kitchen. One is the head chef, 3 other servants. And also there is a stall boy in the sweet shop and one captain who is the security guard of this small business setup. So he says, conquer the taste, you would have conquered all. So he says this in order to attract the conversation from the people. So he says, conquer the taste, you would have conquered all. What does it mean? It means that you conquer your tongue. That means whether it is food or words. If you have mastered that, that would be good for you. So that is the interpretation of this statement. But here he uses this statement to catch customers for conversation. So what happens in the very first chapter? We are introduced to his business setup. So as I told you, there are 4 people working in the kitchen, one at the stall and the other one, the security guard. So 6 people are working for Jagan. Jagan is the owner of the sweet shop. He sits at the cash point. So he sits there, he observes all the things going on in the kitchen and he reads Bhagavad Gita in the meantime. The business starts in the morning and ends in the evening. So what he does, he collects all the money. The boy at the stall, he sells everything in the shop. He collects all the money in a big pitcher from morning till 6 o'clock. From 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, he collects the money in a separate small jar. So that boy brings the big jar at 6 o'clock and then he gives a small jar to the boy. The boy collects the remaining transaction in that small jar. Then he enters everything into the book which will go for anybody to inspect. And the small jar, he keeps it for himself. He takes it as extra cash for himself, the hard-earned money. There is one person named Cousin. Cousin has no name in the novel. He comes, he visits, he tastes the sweets, he gives the review of the sweets to Jagan. If there is some adjustment, he just instructs the kitchen people. And he will keep Jagan aware of all the ingredients price in the market. So he is another important character. Cousin is another important character. Jagan is the protagonist. So he makes an important character in the novel. So this is in the first chapter. We get to know how the business transaction is going on in Jagan's shop. So exactly at 7, he finishes his job. All the kitchen staff will leave after giving him what is remaining, what is the expense, what is the plan for tomorrow. After telling everything, they leave and the boy also leaves. Finally, he locks his shop and he goes home. So this is in the first chapter. The first chapter is very important because it gives every detail about Jagan, what he does, what he means by saying conquer the taste, you would have conquered all, etc. Moving on to the second chapter, the story continues from the previous chapter. He finishes his job, his work in the sweet shop, and then he returns home. While returning home, he saw his son Mali. We are introduced to his son Mali. So Mali is a matriculation student who is supposed to go to the college. He is with his friends near the Lolly statue in Malgudi town. So he was discussing cricket and other things with respect to his age with his friends, and Jagan, looking at his son, he feels very proud of his grown-up son. Then on the way he goes, he saw the vagrants, the beggars on the street, and he is concerned about his nation. Jagan has taken part in the freedom movement. He has a great respect for India's freedom movement, his nation, his tradition, etc. And therefore, he shows some concern about the nation with respect to these beggars and vagrants and those people who are scavenging for food. So he saw them and then he expresses his thoughts on that. He saw his son at the statue, I told you. Then we get to know that Jagan is writing a book on nature cure and natural diet. Here we are told that Jagan has eating sweets and salt. Now he is on a small portion of food for surviving. So he has resigned everything and now he has started writing a book on nature cure and natural diet. This is the title of the book which he is going to write. This book has been there in the printer. Nataraj is the owner of the printing press, that is the Star Printing Press in Malgudi town. This book has been lying idle in the book printing press for a very long time. Whenever he visits Nataraj and tells that the printing letters have not reached him yet. So it has been lying idle there. So in this chapter we get to know that there was a clash with his wife. About what? Ambika had a small tumor in her brain, but that is not shown in the second chapter. We will get to know later. She was getting severe headaches in between. She used to depend on aspirin tablet, but Jagan stops her from taking that tablet because he thinks of this nature cure and natural diet. That means headache should not be treated with English medicine. That is harmful to health. That was his belief. Therefore, there was always a clash with Ambika. Whenever she get headache, it was very severe, but he did not support her taking English medicine. Therefore, there was some kind of clash. Moving on to the next chapter. The third chapter. Mali tells Jagan about his plan to discontinue education. What happens here? So that is about the first and the second chapter. First chapter talks about Jagan's professional life. Then he comes back. On the way he saw his son. Then he expresses his concern about the nation. Then he visits the printing press where Nataraj is not printing his nature cure and natural diet for many years. And then we come to the third chapter. Mali tells Jagan about his plan to discontinue education. After class 10, Mali is not interested to go to school. So he expresses that he was unwilling to continue education. Jagan asked cousin's help to know what was in Mali's mind. So here, Jagan was hesitant to talk to his grown-up son because when Ambika dies, Mali thinks that Jagan was the reason for this. And he stops talking to his father. Their communication is very minimal. Therefore, with a grown-up son, Jagan hesitates to talk. Therefore, he sought the help of cousin. And he wanted to know what was wrong with Mali, saying that he wants to discontinue education. Then Jagan puts cousin to work with Mali. Mali talks to cousin. And cousin gets to know that Mali wanted to be a writer. Mali wanted to be a writer. And then when cousin comes to Jagan and tells that Mali wants to be a writer, Jagan thinks that he was trying to be a clerk in the English East India Company or the English company. So he was very shocked to know that his son wanted to be a writer. And then cousin tells that not that kind of a writer, he wants to be a writer like a poet, a writer, an author. Then Jagan feels very proud of him. Oh, his son wanted to be a writer. And then he talks to his son. His son says that there was a competition, story writing competition in Anand Vikatan magazine. It had a cash prize of 25,000 rupees. And Mali shows that advertisement from a college magazine. He tore it off and brought it home. And then looking at that, Jagan was very happy and he says he wanted to encourage. Jagan encourages his son in doing it. So that is what we get to see in chapter 3. Moving forward, in chapter 4, Mali doesn't write the novel for the competition. So it was in the month of May that the previous episode happened. The story submission was in the month of September. So there was 4 months time. But what did Mali do? Mali doesn't write the novel for the competition. He secretly gets prepared to go to America to learn creative writing. So in the meantime, what was happening? Something was happening behind the back of Jagan. Marley did not write the story. Instead, he was getting prepared to go to America to learn creative writing. So he did not inform his father. What he did, Marley steals money from his father's secret place at home. Jagan was collecting money from morning to evening till 6 o'clock, and then he was reporting it in his diary. And from 6 to 7, he was collecting money, and it was kept as his own earning that was kept in a secret place at home. Marley knew this, and Marley steals money from there in order to go to America to learn creative writing. Jagan and cousin discuss about the American lifestyle, and slowly cousin is the one who informs about Marley's preparation to go to America. Jagan was really shocked. And when Jagan gets to know that Marley is preparing to go to America and everything was ready, Jagan and cousin, they discuss the lifestyle in America. They eat beef. Men and women, they mingle freely with each other. So all these were against the traditions and customs in India. So he was really worried about this part of USA. The cousin informs about Marley's plans to Jagan. So he reveals that Marley had his friend. His father was working in the airlines, and through him an air ticket was procured. Then Jagan, he does not want to stop his son, and he agrees, okay, if he wants to go, let him go. And he thinks, though Marley has stolen money from him, he was earning for Marley. Therefore, there was no question. He keeps the money for him there at the safe, where he knew that Marley would take. And finally, he leaves to America. Marley leaves to America. This is the chapter 4. In chapter 5, Marley has left for the United States. Jagan receives letters from US. So Marley has gone to the US. Letters start coming to Malgudi. Jagan was very happy to tell people that his son was in America studying creative writing. He catches hold of everybody and tells them that his son was in America. He tries to read letters to everyone. And that was the life of Jagan in Malgudi. He keeps on receiving letters from the US. Then Marley gets used to the American way of life. So in one of the letters, he reveals that Marley, as a student, he has now accustomed himself to the lifestyle of America. What was those things that was written in the letter? He tells his father that he has started eating beef. He has started consuming meat. And then he suggests something that was really hard for Jagan to take. He tells that the beef is tasty. Why don't the cattle which are wandering in the street to be eaten in India? That would solve half of the problem. So when he listens to these words from Marley's letter, he was really shocked. Now, in one of the letter, he tells that he is coming back with a guest. Who was this guest? The guest was Grace. She was a Korean-American girl. She has a history. She has settled in America. Her father and mother. Father was an American soldier. Her mother was Korean. When there was this American-Korean thing going on, he brings her to America and Grace was born there. Grace meets Marley in the creative writing school. Jagan starts avoiding people. So they come to Malgudi. Marley brings Grace to Malgudi. But Jagan starts avoiding people now because when he brings her, he tells that they are already married and she is a Christian woman. So now the tradition and modernity clash here with Jagan's principles and ideologies. So therefore, Jagan now stops meeting people. When letters were coming from Marley, he was very eager to read it to the people. But now he could not face the people because Marley has brought Grace, which is a disgrace now. Grace informs she was writing the letter. So Grace tries to get along with the Indian way of life. She wants to adapt to the styles of Indian women. And finally, one fine day, she reveals that all those letters which she was receiving was written by Grace, not Marley. This breaks Jagan's heart. He thinks that Marley was writing and he was creating a bond with his son. But when Grace tells that she was writing the letter, Jagan's heart was broken. So this is what we get to know in chapter 5. In chapter 6, cousin informs Jagan of Marley's business plan. So Marley has come back with a business plan. What is this business plan? So here he comes with the story writing machine production in India. So there he went to learn creative writing. He got to know some people who made him to understand that there are story writing machines which do it automatically without the interference of human beings. So Mali, in this chapter, demonstrate a machine in India. He has procured a prototype to India. He demonstrated it to Jagan. There were some buttons here, characters here, emotions here. If one of them, the writer who wants to write a story, if he presses the right combination of the thing, it would print a story on its own. So this is the machine which Mali wanted to produce in large numbers in India. So he demonstrated this machine to his father, Jagan. And he wanted his father to invest how much? $51,000 for setting up this manufacturing story writing machines. So Mali also wanted electrical and electronic gadgets at home. He wanted a telegraph, he wanted a telephone connection to his house, he wanted washing machine. So all this modernity. Now Mali has seen America, he wants such life in India. But in India, Jagan is very happy with his tradition and culture, doing everything manually, and he loves that kind of life. But Mali, who has gone to America, come back, he has seen a different kind of world. He wants such comforts in Malgudi. Jagan asked Mali to take over his business, Jagan's sweet shop. So listening to all these things, Jagan feels that this is a stupid idea. He did not understand what's so special about this. And he compares what is there in using the story writing machines. Because Indians, Vedavas has written Mahabharata, Valmiki has written Ramayana, there are thousands of stories in it. Did they ever use these machines to print their stories? That is the argument of Jagan. But Mali doesn't believe. He wants to compete with the global output of stories from India. So therefore, here we can see a clear clash between tradition and modernity. Tradition is represented by Jagan and modernity is represented by Mali. Now, when Mali asked Jagan to invest $51,000, it was around 250,000 when this story was written. So it was 250,000 rupees, $51,000. And Jagan says he did not have such money. So he tells Mali, please take over my business. You run the sweet shop. Mali did not agree to this. There was this disagreement at home. Mali was feeling at home, but Jagan, he was not feeling at home because there was presence of Grace. Grace and Mali, they are constantly trying to tell Jagan that he should invest in this plan. So this was irritating him. And therefore, Jagan slowly starts losing his peace of mind at home. Therefore, he starts spending most of his time at the sweet shop. And in retaliation to this, he understands that everything is going in vain. His son was not willing to take over his business. So what he does, he reduces the price of the sweets in order to give more sweets to the poor and the needy in Malgudi. So he understands that there is no use of accumulating money. Let me donate everything in a different way. He reduces the sweet price in chapter 6. So this is the twist. The entire twist comes in chapter 6 because we get to know the plans of Mali, and Jagan was unwilling to invest in his business plan. And finally what happens? There is clash slowly boiling between Mali and Jagan. And finally Jagan tells his son to take over his business, but Mali refuses. Finally what he does, he reduces the price of the sweets. Moving on to the next chapter, we get to know in the very beginning that he reduces the sweet shop. He announces that any sweet that the buyers choose is 25 paisa per packet. Now what he does, when he mentions the sweet packet is 25 paisa, everything, all the sweets which were manufactured, all the sweets that were prepared from morning, everything was sold by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So there was remaining time, and this cook, head cook, Shivram is the head cook. Shivram is the head cook. He suggests that they should prepare more sweets. But Jagan says no. Once the trays were empty, he was happy. Now what should they do in the remaining time till 6 and 7? Then Jagan suggests that he would read Bhagavad Gita for all his employees. So he started doing it. In the beginning, they also start with enthusiasm. Later, they also lose enthusiasm. He called the security also to sit and listen to. and stall boy also to sit and listen. But everybody, they slowly lost interest. They left. So in the meantime, what happened? 3 people from Malgudi, they come to meet Jagan. Anand Bhavan is one of the well-known hotels in Malgudi, and a canteen owner and a bearded man. They visit Jagan. Why did they visit Jagan? They visited Jagan to discuss this reduction in sweet price. So it was disturbing the market. So all these people, they come and meet Jagan and they discuss why Jagan had decided to reduce the sweets price. So Jagan says that he wanted poor people to buy sweets, and he also suggests that he wanted everybody to use pure ingredients for sweets. And there was little exchange of words with these people. And finally Jagan says it was just a trial experiment that he was doing. They were convinced and they said that, okay, we leave now, because Jagan would increase the price to normal after a few days. So all these 3 leave and bearded man comes back again to Jagan. So now here we get to know a different character, a bearded man in Malgudi. Nobody knew. His name was Chinnadurai. Chinnadurai, that means the small master. He tells that he was called Chinnadurai because he had his master. He was very famous for sculpting idols. Many of the idols, famous idols in India, were sculpted by his master. He was such a wonderful sculptor. So what he wants, he tells his story. This boy was 5 years old when his master found him. He did not have father and mother. He was an orphan. Then his master taught him the art of sculpting, and he grew up with his master. So now he tells that he lives in the nearby shrine which is abandoned. The image in the shrine has been stolen. It has been empty. And there are plans to install 5-headed Gayatri Devi there. So all this story he explains, and he tells that when Jagan feels free, he should visit the shrine. So here, the important part is this, Jagan meeting with bearded man. So what is the significance of this meeting? This meeting is Jagan's transformation, going away from his life, personal life, to the retreat life. That means he wanted to leave everything behind and go. And he wanted to abandon everything in his life and see something peaceful in life. So this is the twist in the story. This is an important turn in the life of Jagan. Coming to chapter 8, the very next day, Jagan visits the temple. The bearded man tells him the story of his master. So whatever story which was explained in the previous chapter, that happens here. Now he also tells his plans to build a new idol of 5-faced Gayatri Devi for the temple, because the previous idol has been stolen from thieves. Now this bearded man, he takes Jagan to the nearby pond. From the pond, he brings out a stone for this idol. Jagan finds the idea of vanishing into forest at some stage in life, as he felt the thought of his home a hell. So now, listening to the words of the bearded man and this quiet place in Malgudi, Jagan thinks that he should leave his home. He should leave everything behind, the business, the home, his son, his emotions, everything behind, and go to a place where he could do penance, because he was losing his peace of mind at home. Since Mali and Grace, they were pressing him for investing money into their business. In chapter 9, we get to know Jagan started using a separate key for his home. So what happens? The distance between Jagan and Mali is growing more and more. Grace is trying to patch both of them together, but she is unsuccessful. So he could not face Mali. Whenever he wants to talk to Mali, Mali would ask him to invest money in his plan, and Jagan does not like it, and the clash slowly grows. Therefore, what Jagan does, in his house there were 2 doors. If Mali was using the main door, Jagan starts using the other door. So in the beginning, Mali and Jagan, they started to use different keys. Mali comes to discuss business with him. Again, what happens? Mali comes and starts to discuss his plan. Again, Jagan asked why he did not want to take the sweet vending business. Now, for the surprise of Jagan, Grace was absent from his house. He could not find Grace these days. She was not at home. He asked him where Grace was. And Mali says she is free to do whatever she wants. She need not stay with him. He says it because he believes that in USA, a woman did not need permission or did not have to tell her husband where she was doing and what she was doing. This is modernity, and Jagan says, wife must stay with husband, says Jagan to Mali. This is the tradition of India. So she was a free individual in the US. When she is in India, she should, like an Indian woman. So that is what the clash is about. The absence of grace is the highlight in this chapter. Where was she? What was she doing? Coming to chapter 10, Jagan waited to meet Grace. Here, cousin helps Jagan and tells Grace that Jagan wanted to meet Grace. Jagan waited at home to meet Grace. Cousin was absent to mediate between father and son. But here what happens? The cousin was taken by a judge to a different place to visit. Cousin was a well-known person in the town. He was offering his help to everybody. Everybody needed cousin. And cousin at this critical juncture was absent. Jagan expresses unhappiness with Mali. So he waited for meeting Grace. Grace comes. She informs something. And what she informs? Jagan talks to Grace at home and she reveals that she and Mali are not married. So for the surprise and shock of Jagan, Grace tells that she and Mali are not married. So listening to this, Jagan was really surprised and he was in a terrible shock. Again, cousin comes here. He informs that Mali's business is promising because he has found many people in Malgudi to invest in his business plan. And he also tells that Grace was meeting her friend in Dr. Kurvilla's home. There is a friend in Dr. Kurvilla's home for Grace. She is going there to meet her friend. Jagan discusses this issue with the cousin and he suggests for their marriage. So here we get to know Grace and Mali are not married. When he came, he said that he was bringing a guest. But when he landed in India, he told that he has married. And then finally Jagan finds this disturbing. He tells this issue to cousin and cousin suggests, okay, if they are not married, let us get them married in a temple. So this is what happens in chapter 10. The strained relationship between Mali and Jagan and Mali and Grace. In chapter 11, Jagan insulates himself from both Mali and Grace. So whenever he met Grace and Mali, they always pressed him to invest in their business. This was really unbearable to Jagan. So what he does, he starts to insulate from both of them. He did not want to contact both of them. He starts using the back door. He was using a separate key in the previous chapter. Now the house, he made it into two portions. He started using the back door. Jagan had become distant to both his siblings who are now blaming Jagan for Mali's association with Grace, a Christian woman. So what happens to Jagan's personal life? Jagan had siblings. He had an elder brother, a younger sister. So they both started writing letter to him and scolded him that he is the sole reason for Mali's present situation. He has spoiled his son Mali because Mali has brought in a Christian woman to a traditional family. Grace was staying with her friend recently. Grace has found a job. She is working somewhere with her friends home. Jagan wanted Mali and Grace to get married. So here he again presses for both of them that they should get married. This creates a troubled or strained relationship between Mali and Jagan. The father and the son, who represent different ideas, they don't come together with respect to any of these issues, whether it is business, the story writing machine business, sweet shop business, or Jagan getting Mali and Grace married in this town of Malgudi. In chapter 12, Jagan was deeply disturbed by Mali's activities. So Mali was very busy in Malgudi. He was finding the investors. Grace was helping him. Now Grace is not with Mali. Their relationship cannot be interpreted in any way. He could not understand what was happening between Grace and Mali. So Jagan was deeply disturbed by all his activities. That evening, he sat at the lolly statue and watched his home, which has lost the light of life. So disturbed by everything, after he finishes his work in the sweet shop, he sat at the lolly statue and he was looking at his house, and everything comes back to his mind. How was the house? How happy the people in the house were, etc. So then realizes that it has lost the light of life. This makes him nostalgic. Now he starts thinking about the past. He thought about his marriage to Ambika from Kuppam village. So now looking at this house, it was time for Jagan to realize what had happened in his life. What was he when he was a young man? Jagan was a follower of Gandhi. Gandhi had called for non-cooperation movement with the British. So when that call was given, Jagan left the college. He did not want to continue with the British school. So he left the college, he jumped into the Indian freedom movement. He went to the district police commissioner's office to take off the British flag and install the Indian tricolor. He was beaten so hard by the police that he lost his consciousness. He was admitted to the hospital. Then his education was discontinued. His father, Jagan's father, wanted Jagan to marry. He finds a bride in Kuppam village. Her name is Ambika. Jagan and his elder brother, they went to see Ambika. They saw the girl. Jagan fell in love with the woman and their marriage was fixed. So all these things he recalls while he was sitting at the Lali statue. Continuing with the 12th chapter, we come to the story of Jagan's marriage. Jagan was getting married to Ambika. Ambika's family had promised dowry of 5,000 rupees along with all the ornaments. Jagan did not pay much attention to studies. After their marriage, anyhow, all these things happened. He saw the girl agreed, the letters exchanged, their marriage was decided by the elders. They got married, they decided on the dowry also. And then when the bride came to Jagan's house, Jagan could not study. He was still a college student. He did not pass his BA. He did not pay much attention to studies. Even after marriage, he lost interest in the studies. He was always interested in Ambika. Whenever he got time, he would sneak out from the college and sneak inside his house and be with Ambika all the time. And what happened after that? For a very long time, Jagan and Ambika could not have a child. For 10 years, the couple did not have a child. So this was a great concern for the family. So they put pressure on these two people that they are ignorant, they are not trying to have a child, all these things. Everybody started blaming Ambika. Ambika was also hurt. But finally what happens? Jagan's father, he takes Jagan and Ambika to a nearby Badri Hills, where he tells the God's blessings would bless them with a child. Then after everything, all these hardships, Mali was born to Ambika and Jagan. So this we get to know in chapter 12. Chapter 12 purely talks about Jagan's life, his college life, his marriage, his son, and how happy was the house. So everything happens. Everything is recollected in the memory of Jagan. Chapter 12 precisely talks about Jagan's life until Molly was born. Chapter 13, Jagan slept at the statue thinking of the past. Chapter 12 completely talks about Jagan's life and thinking all these nostalgic things. Jagan slept off at the statue. Jagan woke up and didn't feel to go home. He thought of renouncing everything. So waking up, he feels that he did not feel like going to home. He thought, okay, I'll take my necessary things and leave. I don't want to get into this house. Let Mali do whatever he wants with his house. Then he starts going slowly towards home at 5 in the morning. And he also saw a cousin on a bicycle hurriedly coming towards him. At 5 a.m., cousin was coming on a bicycle rapidly with a great confusion. Then cousin informs Jagan about Mali's arrest for possessing liquor in car. So there was this Prohibition Act which said that an individual should not possess alcohol. And police had found alcohol in the car of Mali. Mali had purchased a green car to run his business, to move around in Malgudi. And he was also meeting many people, and Jagan was not happy with all these activities. So he was arrested by the police for possessing liquor in car. Jagan did not want to get into all the technicalities involved with getting Mali released. So listening to this, he became more sad. He recalled everything the previous night, and now Mali is giving him more pain. So how he felt was, he did not have anything to do with Mali's release. So he felt, let what may happen may happen. He told his cousin that he was retiring to the retreat across the river. So he told cousin his plans. I don't want to get into all these things. I want to retire with all these things to the retreat across the river. He asked him to run the shop and take care of the workers. So he told, don't leave those workers. You have to take care of them. He tells cousin to run the business shop until Mali makes mind to run the sweet shop. And also he has a great thing in mind. He tells that Mali has been spoiled. A dose of prison life is not a bad thing because he was also in the prison. He recalls that he was in the prison where he learned how to prepare sweets. He was put to work in the kitchen. And after he was released, he started his sweet business. So he thinks that a little dose of prison is not a bad thing for Mali. He will reform. Now, cousin informs Jagan that Grace has funds and they have found a job for her in Malgudi. Grace has been working now. She is independent. She is taking care of her. So Jagan asked the cousin to arrange a ticket for Grace if she wanted to leave. So therefore, Jagan tells cousin, if you want money to get Mali released, I have a check for you. He gives the money to cousin. And he also says, if you need more, you can come back to me, I'll give it. And he tells that if Grace ever wants to leave India, then it was his responsibility to provide her with a ticket. So he tells that she is a good girl in the end. The story ends with this. And there are some more things that happened in the life of Jagan. In the very first chapter, we saw there was a clash between Ambika and Jagan. Jagan was following Nature Cure and Natural Diet was his book. And he was securing the dead cow's skin in order to get his own slippers made. Why? Because all these things reflect Gandhi's ideologies. He was spinning his own yarn out of cotton because Gandhi had given a call. He was spinning yarn, and with that yarn he was getting his clothes made, and he used to spin the yarn and then he would give it to the Khadi committee and he would give it for money. So he was earning 5 rupees from it. He thought that it was his duty to follow Gandhian principles. Therefore, all these things reflect that Jagan was an ideal Gandhian. He was the follower of Mahatma Gandhi. He had pride in his nation. He had respect for his tradition and customs. He had the idea of using everything natural. So therefore, everything is reflected in this chapter. And later comes Mali, who belongs to the next generation, who does not have any connection with the Indian freedom movement. He thinks that the Westerners are good and we have to compete with them. In order to compete, we have to improve everything. So therefore, this ideology is reflected with one small thing, that is the story writing machine. So finally, the story ends in a very sullen mood, or Jagan leaving everything behind and retiring to a retreat across the river, that is the shrine in Malgudi. The bearded man had talked about the shrine and he wanted to retire to that place. So the story ends here. This is the detailed explanation of the novel, The Vendor of Sweets. With this, we shall meet in the next class. Thank you.